Straight ahead on WBKB, a mad dash to the pumps after an attack on the Colonial Pipeline, plus a beloved property in Oscoda is up for sale, and Michigan reaches a vaccination milestone. You are watching Thunder Bay News Network. WBKB News at 6 starts now.
This is WBKB News at 6. An in-depth look at news, weather, and sports. From hard-hitting news stories to local events, we're there with coverage you can count on. You're watching WBKB News at 6.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Tyler Cruz. The gas pipeline that delivers about 45% of the fuel consumed on the East Coast remains shut down, paralyzed by a cyber attack. And now the disruption is creating a mad dash to the pump in several eastern states. Michael George has more.
As the Colonial Pipeline shutdown entered another day, drivers along part of the East Coast felt the pinch.
It's been crazy. This is worse than a hurricane.
Danielle Charles and her daughter spent about an hour searching for gas in Florida before they were able to fill up.
4 gas stations we passed by, and they're all crowded up with cars.
In North Carolina, some drivers dealt with lines stretching for miles, and the governor declared a state of emergency.
You don't want to miss out. You don't want to be the one that doesn't get gas.
Colonial, which delivers 45% of fuel consumed on the East Coast, was forced to shut down operations after a group of hackers called DarkSide broke into its computer system as part of a ransomware attack.
AAA says Americans shouldn't start panic buying gasoline. They should try to conserve gas by combining errands into one trip or using more fuel-efficient vehicles.
Gas station owners are and should act responsibly. We will have no tolerance for price gouging.
The White House is monitoring the situation, and President Biden plans to speak to Russian President Vladimir Putin about the cyber attack.
So far, there is no evidence based on from our intelligence people that Russia is involved, although there is evidence that the actor's ransomware is in Russia.
The shutdown is also putting airports on the East Coast at risk of low supply. American Airlines had to adjust 2 long-haul flights out of Charlotte. Colonial Pipeline hopes to reopen the line later this week, but cautions supply shortages are possible in the short term. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Tomorrow is the last day that Enbridge's Line 5 pipeline can legally remain open. Earlier, Governor Whitmer gave them a May 12th deadline to shut down. Today, Michigan legislators heard testimonies on why to keep the pipeline open. Enbridge's Line 5 pipeline brings oil and other fuels to refineries in Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Canada. The pipeline carries over 22 million gallons of oil, as well as other materials needed for propane each day.
The region, including Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Ontario, and Quebec, would see a $14.7 million gallons a day supply shortage of gas, diesel, and jet fuel.
In November, Governor Whitmer notified Enbridge, the Canadian company, that they must permanently stop operation by May 12th. If the pipeline were to rupture in the Straits of Mackinac, nearly 700 miles of Great Lakes shoreline would be impacted, as well as the economy. However, shutting down Line 5 would result in Enbridge refineries taking in 45% less fuel than their current demand, and Michigan would see a propane shortage.
That we are actually talking about shutting down a pipeline with no plan, no logistics, no explanation, no valuable logistical plan to replace it.
Alternate plans for distributing fuel, like by truck or by train, have a heavier carbon footprint than a pipeline.
You know, if you did an alternative analysis of the climate impact, I think it would be pretty obvious that trucks and rail car would emit more carbon emissions than a pipeline would, obviously.
However, environmental experts say that the risks posed to the Great Lakes and tourism outweigh the risks that come with shutting down Line 5.
That the risk to the Great Lakes and our economy far outweighs the risk of shutting down and potential job impacts. And again,
since the shutdown is still being reviewed in court, Enbridge is unlikely to cease their operations by tomorrow. Lawmakers say the Great Lakes Tunnel project would help to prevent an oil spill into the ecosystem. Here's meteorologist Ellie Morrison with a first check of the weather. Ellie, is it fair to say we're out of the showers and into the sun?
Tyler, we're going to be seeing the sun tomorrow. We're gradually getting out of that. Still seeing mostly cloudy skies over Alpena with a temperature of 54 degrees. The winds are quite brisk out of the north-northwest at 20 miles per hour. And you can see that cloud cover still hanging over mostly the eastern part of northern Michigan, so over our area. We have been seeing some clearing off to the west. In Gaylord, it's clear at 51 degrees. We're mostly cloudy and 54, and a couple light showers in Oscoda at 52. Those showers are heading south. Tonight, temperatures will be heading into the lower 40s. By the time we get to the pre-dawn hours early tomorrow morning, we're heading into the lower 30s. A cool start to the morning. By midday, we're well into the mid-50s, and for the afternoon, we'll be getting close to 60 or even into the lower 60s. I'll let you know how much longer those warmer temperatures are going to last and how bright it's looking for the rest of the week coming up later in the program.
Thanks for that, Ellie. We'll check back in with you in a bit. As of Monday, Furtaw Field is now available for private purchase. In a narrow 4-3 vote, the Oscoda Township Board of Trustees marked the property as disposable during Monday night's meeting. The board also voted unanimously to do the same for 2 other properties. A disposable designation is separate from a decision to sell. As a disposable property, Furtaw Field is open for purchase. Board Supervisor Ann Richard says the director of the Economic Improvement Committee recommended the designation.
The EIC director decided to make a recommendation that the board consider those 3 properties. So it was put on the agenda.
The field is home to Oscoda's Paul Bunyan statue, as well as the Paul Bunyan Days Festival. Multiple craft fairs make use of the space as well. The ownership of Furtaw Field has been a hot-button issue in Oscoda for months. Many residents have recently rallied behind the property, creating craft fairs and other events to show off its community potential. The FDA has approved emergency use of the Pfizer vaccine for children aged 12 through 15. Skylar Henry reports from the White House.
The FDA has signed off on Pfizer's request to begin vaccinating children ages 12 to 15.
We know that this is a big step for our country, as vaccinating a younger population can bring us closer to a sense of normalcy and to ending this pandemic.
The drug company says clinical trials showed the vaccine is 100% effective, preventing illness in that age group.
We had 0 cases in the vaccine recipients and 18 in those that received placebo.
The shots could be available for young people as soon as a CDC advisory committee completes its review tomorrow. States will be able to get middle school students vaccinated before the fall.
I have a 16-year-old myself, and I can tell you he wanted to get the vaccine. He wants his life back. These kids want to go back to school. They want to go back to the things they love.
But parents may not be rushing to sign their children up for the shots. A recent survey showed only 29% of parents are ready for their kids to get vaccinated, while nearly 1 in 5 say they will definitely not let their children get the vaccine. The U.S. is seeing adult vaccination rates fall as well. President Biden is speaking with some governors today to discuss what they are doing to get more of their state's residents vaccinated. Journalists weren't allowed in the room while the president held a virtual meeting with the governors.
Things like phone banking, door-to-door canvassing, pop-up vaccination sites in workplaces and houses of worship.
About 25% of American adults say they will not get a vaccine, with the number one reason being they want to wait to see if it's safe. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
Great news for parents wanting to get their preteens vaccinated. Since the FDA authorized Pfizer vaccinations for children 12 to 15 years old, vaccinations could start soon after recommendations from the CDC and other agencies are made. DHD4 now has a wait list for 12 to 17-year-olds wanting the vaccine. For more information, you can visit our website. Michigan has reached a milestone in its Back to Normal campaign. Yesterday, Governor Whitmer announced that 55% of Michigan residents have received at least 1 dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. Because of this, all in-person work can safely resume on May 24th. Yesterday, we reported that many Michigan families have a hard time affording childcare. But there's also another problem, especially in our region, and that's the number of childcare facilities available for parents. WBKB's Tiffany Maddox joins us in Alpena with more.
It's one thing to have trouble affording childcare, but it's another when the area you live in doesn't have enough childcare centers for the population. A report from the Michigan League of Public Policy shows 44% of Michiganders live in what's called a childcare desert. The organization defines that as an area where the ratio of children ages 0 to 5 to the number of licensed child care spots is greater than 3. The average cost of child care in Alpena and the surrounding area is a little over $500 a month. This is why a mother and daughter team from Alpena decided to open up a spot of their own.
We realize the struggle of finding quality daycare. There's 1,400 kids and only 370 spots for child care right now. So we hope to offer 100 more spots for kids and give parents some choice.
The owners of Great Lakes Child Care Center say they are working really hard to open up their doors very soon. In Alpena, Tiffany Maddox, WBKB News.
Thanks for that, Tiffany. There's more news ahead for you here on WBKB. Coming up, don't miss your Pets of the Week, and meteorologist Ellie Morrison has your 7-day forecast next.
And clouds. Then for Saturday, we'll see a mix of sun and clouds starting off in the lower 40s, highs about 64 degrees. Sunday, partly cloudy with highs around 65 degrees. A little bit cooler for Monday, highs near 60 with a chance of showers. And then Tuesday's looking drier, a mix of sun and clouds with highs close to 60 degrees. And today's photo was sent in by Eugene Cambry. Here are a couple of Baltimore Orioles having a discussion over dining arrangements at the local watering hole in Attica, Michigan. Their short visits leave such lasting impressions. Thank you, Eugene, for sending us this photo. And if you have a photo, such as nature shots, pics with friends, or interesting sights you see that you would like to send us, email it along with a short description to news@wbkb11.com.
Thanks, Ellie. It's going to be a long flight for those birds. I'm guessing they stopped in Detroit or Ohio for a layover. Coming up on WBKB News, what does Memorial Day travel look like this year? And Jake Vanderbrook will have the latest in sports. Stay tuned. Welcome back. AAA says more than 1 million Michiganders will be traveling this Memorial Day. We're less than 3 weeks from the unofficial kickoff to summer. AAA says more than 37 million people in the U.S. are expected to travel 50 miles or more between May 27th and 31st. That's a 60% increase from last year when only 23 million traveled. It's the lowest on record since AAA began recording in 2000. And it's my favorite day of the week. Today's pets of the week are cedar, cosmos, and hummingbird.
I'm happy to say this is our first Pets of the Week in the new and improved Cora's Cat Colony.
Our first pet today is Cedar. This cinnamon-colored fellow likes to assess you from afar before approaching. He's very cautious and takes his time when exploring new things. If you want to get to know him, I suggest taking a seat on the floor and letting him take his time. Trust me, Cedar's cuddles are well worth it. Next up is Cosmos. He's about 2 years old and has a very special eye. His owners didn't take very good care of him when it was cut, so now it resembles the Milky Way. Thankfully, it doesn't cause him any pain, and he gets along just fine. Cosmos is similarly cautious around new people and experiences, and he's not too keen on playtime. However, if you can access his cuddly side, you'll have a friend for life. Finally, we have Hummingbird. She's 2 years old and one of the cuddliest cats I've encountered. She enjoys watching TV and curling up in your lap. Thankfully, Hummingbird's not a total couch potato. She'll proudly explore and strut her stuff.
And what do you think of the new colony? Thank you for your insight. You can learn more about the pets available for adoption by following the link on our website, WBKB11.com.
Thanks for that, Kent. WBKB's very own Dr. Doolittle. I think that cat had more to say. Sports is coming up next, but first, Jake Vanderbrook is in with a preview. Jake, what's going on tonight?
Hey, Tyler, next in sports, Alpena varsity girls soccer returns to Wildcat Stadium as they'll collide with Petoskey in a Big North Conference showdown. Plus, a former Tiger is hanging up the cleats. We'll let you know who when WBKB News.
That's all we have for you this evening. You can read more about our broadcast stories and get the scoop on other news items online. Just visit WBKB11.com for sports, weather, and news updates anytime, day or night. And check us out on our Facebook page and Twitter handle @WBKB11. Be sure to catch us back here tonight at 11 with Stephanie Minichi. Have a great evening.